Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Speletons. I'm Zinker, he's Derek, and this is Bakugan, Champions of Vestroia. Ugh. So for those of you who watch us, because this is people who watch this, right? What's a series you want to see us do after we beat Bakugan? Because we gotta be getting pretty close, right? I think we're getting pretty close.
Sure, hope so.
Yeah, I think we're in the end game. We're in the end game now. Iron Man or something, whatever he says. Then he disappears.
Roll credits.
Guys, roll credits. Boom. I can't remember the fucking.
We're in the end game
Avengers
or some
thing.
shit.
It's been
Roll
so
credits.
long since I've seen a Marvels movie.
Yeah, me too.
Everyone knows it's darkest. I'll show you why. No thanks. That was enough information. Oh, I have to beat him to get it. It doesn't count unless I do that. Oh, hello, ma'am. I've always loved running by building with thirst. You wouldn't happen to know where they sell lemonade, would you? Freshing Run. Okay. I think that's at the beach. And you're gonna tell me. I love Pegatrix. My cousin Preston gave me one. He says it's his favorite, too. Well, I feel like I do not...
Pegatrix?
Do I have to fight these guys? They told me what it is. It's the darkest Pegatrix. Yeah, you know, like pegging the Trix rabbit. That's what they mean there, Derek.
That's okay. I just making sure I heard correct.
I mean, like, I feel like I know it's not gonna work. I know it's not gonna work, but I feel like I have to try. If I could skip those fights, I owe it to myself to try and skip those fights. Because I don't want to do them. If the game makes me do them, I'm gonna hang myself. I'm so glad I said let's record this today instead of like next couple of days. Oh, jeez. Be a rough time. Be a rough time. This game kind of kills my spirit sometimes. It's always a groan to record.
Yeah,
I wish it was more exciting.
It sure is a groaner.
No, he isn't Nope, I gotta go actually fight them. Yep, that makes perfect sense. They said darkest Pegatrix.
They literally said the thing.
No reason I have to fight him. Zero. No! I'm trying to go to the beach! I hate Joy-Con drift, but I also hate that it's just so goddamn fucking sensitive on those menus. Alright, Derek, what? Give me something. Give me a discussion topic, man. You gotta have something.
So, Zinker, you have management experience, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Have you ever just been sitting in like an office, you know, your office or whatever, like manager office, whatever,
Sure.
and you know, the employee comes in. It's like, I got a problem, right?
Right. Yeah, all the time.
Like, so you guys have radios.
Well, it depends on the problem, you know.
Well, your work. So like, I get like, you know, if you're, well, like,
I've had some
you're
therapy
in like
sessions
manager
in the office.
you have a door
I don't know
open.
why. Yeah.
What's that?
I had therapy sessions in the office. I won't lie.
Okay, so like, and I assume when you do, you close the door, right?
Oh yeah, so no one hears it unless they don't really care. But usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like, hold on, and I'll close the door, and then they'll open it, and I'll stare at the. Or sorry, people knock on it, and I'll open it. I'll just stare at them, and be like, maybe later. I'm like, and I'll just close the door again. Or if they have like a problem, I'll fix whatever problem it is. Or
so like,
I went to the wrong place.
so like, if you have the door open.
Yeah.
And like, an employee like you're not having an important conversation, probably, right?
Well, in theory, no.
Okay.
I feel like we've had important conversations with the door open, but like.
Right, but if you're talking about something that you don't want like employees to be able to hear, you close the door, right?
Well, I mean that's what we should do. Yeah, yeah. I don't think we've always done
Okay.
it, but like.
Because I'm asking this because the other day, a manager like, kind of complained a bit. He made a bigger deal about it than I think he needed to, because I walked into the door was open and I needed something, and I walked in the office. The two managers were sitting there, and then they both looked at me, and then I knocked on the door.
Derek, look, you could have done two things. You could have knocked first. You could have just barged in. Would have been fine with either. It's the fact that you barged in, looked at us, and then knocked. That's where it really strikes the fucking... That's where it really hits the ground running with me. That's where it feels like you went, like, fucking too far. Right? Like, you could have done one or the other, and I would have been fine with either. But it's the fact that you walked in, looked at us, and then knocked on the door.
I think that's why there was an issue in the first place. Because the one manager was like, you're supposed to knock first.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if we're in here having a conversation saying like, oh well, she's about to be fired, we don't want you to hear that. To which I was like,
you should close the door for that.
Shouldn't you have the door closed? Yeah, that's
when
exactly
I got
what I
let
said.
go,
like,
the door was closed.
That?
I knew it was coming. That was sad. Did I talk about that?
Yeah.
I saw it on the schedule right before they let me go, because I had access to the schedule in such
you never
a way.
talked about it on the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. They I looked at the schedule at 3 p.m. because we didn't have 3:15 because we didn't have a laser tag game. Saw that I wasn't scheduled any of the days. They hadn't posted it yet, but I saw the schedule in preparation, and then they called me to let me go. It was horrifying. Horrifying. Anyhow, I had a rough 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so closing the door.
Yeah. So that was the thing. That was the problem I had. Is like if that was the thing I said. It's like, okay, well, but like if you're having an important conversation, won't you just close the door? And they're like, well, not always. And I was like, well, why?
Sometimes you just forget.
Yeah, but my point is like they're like make sure like knock first and then come in. And I was like, well, and the reason I walked in and then knocked is because one of the managers would complain to me because I would walk in and I'd stand there and I like.
I mean,
wait,
all right,
like,
Derek.
you know,
all right.
wait,
So your solution, to be clear, was that instead of, so they were upset that you would walk in and just stand there. So your solution was to walk in and then knock.
I wasn't done. I would walk.
No, I think that's all I need to hear.
I
needs
would
a
walk
lesson
in
in manners.
and they wouldn't notice me.
I have that feeling of needing this shit again. Oh man, and I can't even bring the Switch into play because we're doing Bakugan. And I'll keep going. I don't have to shit right this moment. I'm getting there.
I'd walk in and like, she wouldn't notice me at all. So I would say something, she would jump because like she was surprised. She just didn't notice someone was right there. Because I'm a very quiet person. I walk very quietly.
Really
I enter
small, so
very
it's
quietly.
really hard to not notice someone.
Just wouldn't know I was there. So I would. So what I started doing is I would walk in and then I
there anymore.
I started to walk in and then if she didn't notice, I would knock. And then as a joke, I started I would walk in, and regardless of whether or not she noticed, I would knock like a second later too.
Sure.
And so now I just kind of do that where when I enter that room, I'll still knock, whether or not they notice me, because it's more like usually they don't. Sometimes they're looking kind of my direction, and they probably notice me, but you're never really sure.
Sure.
But he complained like he was like, you gotta knock before you come in, before you walk in there. He'd knock and wait for like a response to say come in. But like, for one thing, sometimes or like, I understand they might be doing something, but like, sometimes I just need to walk in to grab something like an extra mask, to which like if they're like on the phone or something like that, and I knock, and they're not, and I'm supposed to respond, I'm just not gonna get a response.
Right. I guess the
Or
way
if
to
they're not in
look
there,
at
I'm
it
not gonna get a
there.
response.
Imagine you're rooming with someone, and your roommate has their door open. Do you think you should be allowed to just walk on in?
That's different. It's not their room. It
is their
room.
well, it is their
It's,
room
it's
essentially. It's the manager's room. It's not your room.
But it's a shared space between several men. It's not private.
But you're not a manager, Derek. It's private enough,
Yes, but they have things in there I need sometimes just to do my job.
I mean, you knock to ask to come in. I don't know. It's still...
But yes, but sometimes they're not there.
It don't matter if your roommate's borrowing your game. Does that mean you get to just go barge in because you need your game to play for your YouTube channel or whatever?
It's different, Zinker. This is a professional environment.
I mean, I think this is like a rule of manners at that point, Derek. I think it still applies. I don't think.
Also, there's less of a problem if I just walk in without knocking. It's literally because I knocked delayed. I did a delayed knock.
They're also legitimately like asking you to do that. To be fair, they have a conversation they don't want you to hear. They should absolutely have the door closed in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean,
just close the door.
What's the difference if you're standing outside the door and standing inside the office? But I don't think they're anywhere close.
If the solution to this problem, if they want,
I don't think this is the problem, Derek.
Just close the door.
The solution to this problem is you knock when you're coming in. I don't think that's a insane request of them. I did not switch.
I always knocked when I came in. I know. It was just afterwards.
Derek, you are contradicted by yourself in this episode. Past Derek has contradicted you in this episode. Because he says, I used to just walk in and stand there. So you did not always knock. You are a fucking liar.
I always knock.
You said differently in this episode. In this episode, you said differently. What is the truth, Derek boy? What is the truth?
No, I said I walk. Zinker, I said I walk in and knock.
But you said you started walking in and knocking because you used to walk in there and just stand there. You said that.
Yes, and that was the problem. So I stopped doing that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about now.
I mean, they're saying, and then they told you to knock first before you walk in. It's not. It's not that difficult a request.
That's not when I say that I always knock when I come in.
It's their office, not your office. I think them asking you to knock before you come in is reasonable. Same as
they expect other people coming in. They expect that are going to need to come in there.
And they told you to knock before you come in. It don't matter. You knock before you come in. What's the difficulty about this? What's it? They don't need to.
Want me to knock on an open door?
Yes, that's what they're asking. That's not unreasonable. It's not. They're asking you to knock. You're having trouble knocking. Who
I'm
has
not having
difficulty
trouble
knocking?
I'm just saying there's a solution. There's a better solution. I'm saying there's a better solution.
There's
to this
not a
problem,
better
which
solution
is
to this.
they
You just don't want to
close
be the
door
one
when if
to
they
have to
want
do
people
any
with
effort. You want them to do the effort. But they're like, can you knock
I
before you
already
come
do
in?
effort, Zinker. I knock when I come in.
After you walk in, and they're like, we want you to knock
I make sure
first
that
before you walk in. That's not unreasonable. It's their office.
I'm annoyed because it's literally only a problem because I walked in and
It's
then
not
knocked,
even a
rather than
problem.
just walking in and not knocking at all. If I hadn't knocked at all, this wouldn't have even been a problem.
I mean, yeah. like I said, it's not that you just walked in. It's not that you knocked beforehand. It's that you walked in and then knocked. That's where like this motherfucker. That's where they're like this motherfucker right here, where they get upset, Derek. That I understand why they get mad at that. That makes sense. I would too. Next time on Speletons. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
I also, when he said, like, what if we were having an important conversation about firing someone? My response was, well, yeah, I want to hear the juicy details.